Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Screen Scene Guru, one of the best YouTube pages out on the interwebs. I am here to cover entertainment news, movies, television, games, all sorts of stuff. So if you haven't subscribed already, be sure to like the video, subscribe, it helps me out a lot. So going into our new content, let's start off with the last week of June real fast. We've got the Angry Birds 3 trailer that dropped. Really interesting stuff here, guys. I watched the first Angry Birds movie. Haven't caught the second one yet. I'm interested in checking out the third movie. It's coming out on December 20th, so right around Christmas. So that means it's going to be going up against Dune Part 3. What do you guys think about that? We just got a new trailer dropped for Dune Part 3 as well. Tremendous trailer from Denis Villeneuve. Let's see. Supergirl, I want to talk about DC real quick. It's just earned $38 million. So it's below what people thought it would be earning. I feel like this is a lot to do with the script. It wasn't exactly what was promised, with it being the Woman of Tomorrow comic. I am currently reading the comic. It's fantastic. I'm loving it. And I do understand the harsh criticism from the movie, because I feel like it was kind of a misstep. James Gunn maybe should have focused the story on another comic book line, because this was an infamous comic book. Tom King, tremendous story, but unfortunately it didn't translate well in live action adaptation. So going on from there, we've got Michael surpasses Oppenheimer as the highest grossing biopic, which is tremendous to hear. Michael's doing fantastic. It's now, I believe, on digital, so you can watch it at home, as well as Project Hail Mary. I watched that for the second time at home, and it was a fantastic watch on Prime. The Rock confirms that Disney is officially working on Moana 3, the animation. I can't wait for this. Haven't checked out Moana 2 yet, so I'm a little bit behind. But this was, of course, on the red carpet premiere for the live-action Moana, which is currently out. I believe it's playing in some cities. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, turned 35 years old, and it's going back to the theaters. So tremendous to hear about Terminator 2, one of my favorite films. As a huge cinephile. Real quick, PS5 just announced they are moving away from physical media. This is a big announcement for physical media lovers, people that are championing the discs to still play. So they have a timeline. They're not going to immediately start rolling this out. They're going to plan by 2028 their new systems. This is both for Xbox and PlayStation. Sounds like they're going to go away from the disc drives. So they want everyone to start playing the games digitally. And most people have bought games, purchased them online in the last 3 to 4 years. They haven't really bought physical games. So that has changed the market scales. So going on from there. Also got a story real quick. I did a little bit of research about their terms and conditions for both PlayStation and Xbox. And they have a thing in their terms and conditions, if you read their contract, that if you haven't activated your account in 3+ years, so they're considering it at least a 3-year limit, Xbox and PlayStation have the right to delete your account, which means all of your purchased items will be erased. It's really shady, very bad practice, in my opinion, for these companies that are making a lot of money off the consumers. They could at least help people out. I did a short video about how Studio Canal had a deal with Sony, and the deal didn't get renewed. So a lot of films that people had digitally purchased on the PlayStation Store were pulled from the Studio Canal library. You can still check them out if you're a subscriber to Studio Canal. I'm not sure how many people there are. But a lot of people were upset that their digital purchases were removed without their consent. Over 500 titles, and they were older movies, But that is a very big deal when it comes to, people believed there would never be this kind of situation where digital purchases would be taken away. Physical media lovers like myself have always feared this day would happen. So that is a bit of a news update for y'all. Not Alone trailer with Timothy Chalamet, and I believe it's I'm trying to think of, I think it might be like another actress. Let me pull up real quick. Not Alone. Real quick. IMDb. Let me just pull the cast. Because Timothy Chalamet, not the horror film, Not Alone. It's the animated film. Let me go back. Not Alone. Animated. Is it maybe called We're Not Alone? Or... Okay, found it. 2027, so it's coming out next year. This is probably part of CinemaCon, their announcement of films coming out in the next year or so. So let's look at this. A rocket mechanic and an astrobotanist are preparing a revolutionary rocket launch. They developed a romantic feelings while 3 runaway aliens take refuge in his home, seeking the rocket as their escape. So it's got, let's see, Timothy Chalamet, Selena Gomez, that's what I was thinking. Selena Gomez and Timothy Chalamet in Not Alone. Looks very good from Illumination. I like the animation style. Pretty much everything looks really crisp and clean, right up until you get to see the aliens. The aliens are, of course, what the Illumination studios are known for, the goofy looks of things. But yeah, I really liked the trailer. I thought it was fantastic. Evil Dead Burn is getting tremendous reviews out of the theater. A lot of people are loving it for horror. They're saying it's one of the best of the franchise. There is 2 post-credit scenes as well. I wanted to remind people, just so they don't forget. It is setting up the next installment in the franchise. I believe it's titled Evil Dead Wrath, which is going to be directed by Sam Raimi. So I'm very happy about that. So yeah, I talked about how digital games for Sony, Xbox, PlayStation are going to become more of a popular thing, common thing. Not a lot of people are going to get discs in their cases. They're still going to sell cases, which I thought was kind of interesting. Like if you've pre-ordered Call of Duty, or not Call of Duty, sorry, GTA 6, you're going to get a case. You're going to get a digital download, like a little pamphlet paper, but there's no disc inside, which I thought was kind of funny. Why are they still printing cases if they're not even going to make discs? But it's part of those things that, it's going to trickle down a bit to delineate what they want to do with the markets. Because I was going to say, one of the most sold 4K Blu-ray discs of the month, this was June, then again, was Super Mario Galaxy movie. And it was a great film. I watched it in the theater. I need to pick it up. But if people are gangbusters buying discs still, I wonder why these game companies are moving away from it. So we've got vinyl is currently, it's still really big right now. Vinyl is selling more than ever before. So the fact that retro media is still doing very well, I'm hoping that will help physical media, discs and books and other things stick around for a little bit longer. Siren Head, talk about Siren Head film, is being developed after the success of Backrooms and Obsession. I'm not a big fan of Siren Head. I heard about it back when it first came out. One of those lore, spooky pasta stories that you hear on the internet. But this could be a cool project. Could make them money. Let's see. Rumor that Spider-Man Brand New Day, Yelena will have a tasteful nude scene with Peter Parker. Now this story is going around the roles or the rings a few times. We've heard about how Yelena is going to be used a lot more in the upcoming projects. He's kind of the unofficial leader of the Thunderbolts. We know there's going to be a Thunderbolts 2 with Jack Schreier. He's also currently developing the X-Men film. But to hear that there may be a love scene or a tasteful nude scene, I'm not sure exactly why they'd want to do that. Besides, I was thinking personally, Yelena is now the Black Widow. The Black Widow character in the comic books has been used as a will she, won't she character to hook up with Captain America, Winter Soldier. We've seen it with Hulk. And now it looks like Spider-Man, perhaps. And it might make him a man, you know? Let's see. Going on from there, we've got Ratatouille 2 rumors. So we've got Brad Bird, the CEO of Pixar, shoots down rumors of a Ratatouille 2. He said, we've done that before. Why would we go back? Apparently they've been on him for years to do a Ratatouille 2, but he does not want to do it. And he's the controller of Pixar, so he has to approve everything that's getting made. Funny enough, though, they are doing Incredibles 3. They've confirmed after years. I'm trying to think of what else. There's another live-action How to Train Your Dragon coming out, live-action 2. But I believe that's DreamWorks, so it's a different studio. But yeah, a lot of stuff coming out from Pixar, so that's interesting. Let's see. House of Dragon brings in just under 2 million views. So House of Dragon's doing pretty good right now. DC plans on a Deathstroke and Bane movie after Man of Tomorrow. I feel like this is kind of rushing to appease the male audience. I'm not sure how many people are going to go out to see a Bane and Deathstroke movie, especially if it's animated and live action, like I've been hearing rumors of. The Dynamic Duo project also has that same kind of vein where it's animation partially and then goes into live action. I don't know how people will feel about that. Ready or Not 2 is on Hulu. So Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I watched that in the theater, but it's now on streaming. So let's see. Make sure I'm getting all my notes. See, I've already done this one. One Piece gets renewed at Netflix for a season 3, which is really good. Nolan says he will not have influencers at his screening of The Odyssey. So this is also another big thing that happened last few days. The Odyssey is playing for critics only, it seems like. And Universal will do a special critic screening, like they said. They don't want to rely on influencers to give it good word of mouth, but it sounds like the critics are doing it for them. UK investigates the Paramount Warner Brothers merger, so they're trying to prevent it. Europe is divesting some control because Europe, they don't really like monopolies, and they don't like corporations controlling media and other outlets that people depend on for news and things like that. So Europe is divesting itself from, I guess, the parts of Paramount that go to the UK. There are certain areas in Europe that Paramount distributes television and other medias, and Europe is now distancing themselves from Paramount as a way of saying they don't agree with this merger with Warner Brothers. Carl Rinschai, sentenced to 2 years in jail for Netflix scamming. So if you guys didn't know, Carl Rinschai, he took a bunch of money to make a Netflix series. He ended up blowing all that money on like luxury cars, beds, and like linens and different weird stuff. And when Netflix asked him about the show, he claimed he needed more money. Netflix gave him more money without ever seeing a finished product. And then, of course, he went to jail. He frauded Netflix. He took their money, never made a show, and now he's doing 2 years, which is too bad. But, you know, people can't be scamming corporations, expecting to just get off scot-free. It's kind of ridiculous in my opinion. But maybe you've heard of the story, maybe you haven't. He's recently been sentenced. Comcast is divesting from Universal as well. Comcast is going to become its own company, which I guess they make enough money to do that. Spider-Man 4 opening to over $200 million, perhaps $250. Some people are saying. It's coming out the end of the month, guys, so be sure to get ready to buy your tickets. UFO Festival starts July 8th. It's already happened for Roswell, the anniversary. There was a big UFO con. 79th anniversary of the Roswell crash, so we're almost at 80 years. And yeah, talk about, the history of the newspaper articles coming out, and that was true. Apparently the crash happened, and then they tried to cover the story up by saying it was a balloon, all this stuff. Real quick, I want to talk about F-47, the new Mach 2 manned aircraft, and then the F-44 unmanned drone. So apparently they're building new weapons of war. We're going into this new round of strikes with Iran, unfortunately, due to this Strait of Hormuz closure. You guys might have seen that the president ordered a new round of strikes. Might have been on the news. So they're announcing that they've got this F-47, which is a fighter pilot. It is manned. They've got missiles, guns, all that stuff. But they're also talking about an F-44, which is just as big as the planes people ride in, but it's a drone. It's essentially, they've talked about these Vipers, or they're, trying to remember the name of them, but like Sentry drones that go into places and find people hiding in places and they blow them up. Kind of like what's going on in Ukraine. So these F-44s are supposed to fly in unison with the pilots in their aircraft, but they're drones. They're now flying with fleets of drones that can target things on their own. They can go after targets, break away into different formations. So that's very interesting stuff, especially from the side of kinetic battling warfare. So we'll have to keep an update on that, because there was a story a couple days ago about how one of our pilots was shot down in Iran using jellyfish drones. They apparently swarmed his cockpit and they brought the plane down. The pilot was safe, he was rescued, but they were able to take down an Air Force plane using jellyfish drones. I don't really know how exactly they were able to do this, but may have been some antediluvian pre-Atlantis tech they've reverse engineered. The public lands 25 miles from the Area 51 have been taken by BLM. BLM has again illegally repossessed land, the hills above Area 51, and now they don't allow tourists to go up there with their cameras. It is, of course, national security. They give it all kinds of excuses. Some are saying Sadie Sink does have plans. She flew to London to shoot her scenes in Spider-Man Brand New Day, and they said that she did this as a favor to Destin Daniel Cretton, the director, because he's worked with Sadie Sink before. She did not know what her role would be in the film. She agreed to shoot it in London without even reading the script. So a lot of people believe it's a major role if they didn't even reveal it to her. So most likely the stories of her being Jean Grey are maybe a little bit more credible. Studio Canal talked about how they pulled a lot of movies from the PlayStation Store, made people upset. Obsession has already made $1 million. So that's probably one of the greatest, highest rated, most earning horror film of the last 10 years. So that's really good. I have yet to check out Obsession, but it's on my list of things to do. So I will check it out, post about it on the channel for sure. Martian Manhunter, rumored to be in Man of Tomorrow. That would be pretty fun. I'd like to see a lot more DC characters show up in the next couple projects. They didn't have to show off too many people, but I just like the roster to start being filled out. X-Men 97, Rachel Summers. So I want to talk about real quick. I've watched the first 3 episodes of X-Men 97, Season 2, and it was fantastic. I loved it. I watched it a little bit after it came out on July 1st. But Rachel Summers, I want to talk about the priestess that brings them through time. They explain that this priestess is just like hanging upside down on fire, and she uses like fire powers. Well, she is the daughter of Scott Summers and Jean Grey in another timeline. So in another timeline, darker history, she is the embodiment of the Phoenix Force. So that's why she's able to use the fire powers. That's why she's helping Cable. She's raising Cable in this dark timeline. So his older sister is there to guide him, which I thought was really cool. Kind of like a Cassandra Nova character that we didn't really know a lot about. So Rachel Summers. Phoenix Force, awesome. They end up using the Celestial ship from the original series, X-Men 97. X-Men. But yeah, the Celestial ship, which Apocalypse gets his powers from, the X-Men are using, which that's really cool. The Conscious ship. Then we get to see once the host, the Phoenix, the mother Ascani, so they call her Ascani. She also shows Storm how to use cosmic rays, how to control the sun, so that's really cool. She's voiced by Gates McFadden, which is Beverly Crusher. Really awesome from Next Gen. We get to see young Apocalypse as well. In Sabanur. So that's really cool. Big fan of him. I felt like this was a better rendition of the story than what we got the Fox X-Men movie. X-Men Apocalypse. Unfortunately, the makeup and what they did to Oscar Isaac, you hardly even recognized him. I hope he got a good paycheck off that one. But this series is just a banger. I haven't watched episode 4 yet, guys, so I'm not caught up yet. But the first 3 episodes I have seen. So I like that they had Kang the Conqueror. They didn't mention him since Ant-Man. So that was really cool. So yeah, the ship. Cable merges with the ship and gets his Cortana, I guess, the cube that helps him time slide. I've always wondered how Cable got his abilities. And they confirmed in season 1 of X-Men 97 that, Cable, Nathaniel Summers, he was born with this disease, a technovirus that was spreading across his body. So they sent him to the future to help him deal with this disease. So that makes sense. But then the whole Cortana, the cube, which was his AI intelligence that helps him in the future, I've always wondered how he got that. And they confirmed in X-Men 97 he got it from the Celestial ship, which means he kind of shares a backstory with the Eternals, kind of. So yeah, Kang is voiced by John Daly, which is Q from Star Trek Next Generation. A lot of Next Gen people coming out to work in X-Men, which I love. Michael Dorn, Worf, plays Apocalypse's father, Ball. So the guy that's like, oh, Apocalypse, I found you in the dirt, and I raised you to rule the world and to take from the weak, and only the strong can survive. The guy that really drives home the reason why Apocalypse is why he is, Ball, voiced by Worf. So that's really cool too. Supergirl, they talked about several cuts of the film. I guess Craig Gillespie had a cut, the director, and then James Gunn had a cut. And the studio was trying to shop around which version they wanted. They ended up going with Craig Gillespie's version. I kind of wonder what the hell happened with that decision making. It sounds like the same kind of problem they faced with Suicide Squad. Sony created Blu-ray discs 20 years ago, guys. 20. Which is amazing. I'm going to still give a shout out to all the people loving physical media. You're doing the Lord's work, I'd like to say. The biggest problem with physical media probably is space, how to manage your collection. I've been somewhat able to put things in different places and collect quite a bit of a collection now, so I'm very happy. Eric Burleson talks about special forces in the Middle East during most likely the Gulf War, encountering a dark sphere, a dark orb inside a military hangar. He claims it was evil, so not exactly sure what's that about. But then we've got Japan had a statue on tour for 4 years of a, let's see, after a tsunami hit Easter Island. The Japanese came in to invest in helping that island from eroding, preventing it from eroding, because they saw these giant Uapu statues, which are very old. Some of them were leaning into the ocean and crumbling because that rock becomes very unstable around water. So a Japanese businessman in the 90s went and paid money to reshore the beaches of Easter Island and to essentially lift the giant stones back into place. So now when you go to Easter Island, you can actually see there's a plaque dedicated to the businessman who kept the statues preserved. And it's actually pretty funny the way they did this was they took one of the Uapu statues from Easter Island and toured it in Japan for 4 years. They took this statue around to different places and showed it off. And then the company and the country of Japan raised money to preserve these statues on Easter Island. I thought that was very fascinating. Some believe the round heads were the oldest on the island as well. So there are some square-headed statues, rounded-headed. There's one statue they don't really believe or not sure where it came from, who created it, but it looks like it's a mother weeping over children. So it's very interesting stuff there. Maybe like goes to show like a sign when the island was at war, or maybe famine was going on the island. They were maybe making these statues to appease their gods, some believe. Let's see. Oh yeah, so another thing, the way they stopped the tribal fighting on Easter Island was they had to come up with the game, a competition of who would be king for a year. And the way the game worked was they had to compete physically. They had to swim out to another smaller island where birds laid their eggs. They had to safely swim to this island, get an egg, somehow attach it to their head, perhaps tie it to their head or keep it in their hands, clutched, swim back to the island with the egg intact, and they were able to be king for a year and choose their picking of the most beautiful women. So that was nice. That was a pretty easy way to stop the fighting. So there was a disclosure panel on June 26th. I'm not going to go over it too much because there wasn't a lot discussed besides Avi Loeb was giving out awards for disclosure. Felt like it was a little premature, especially with we haven't really gotten a lot out of them. But there is a disclosure panel now, UAP council, that is appointed by the White House. So that's big. Minions and Monsters premiered, and it didn't make that much money, which is kind of concerning for the Minions franchise. It only made $36.4 million. And it sounds like a lot, but out of all the other Minions, they've made way more money. So that is kind of concerning, especially when I was very excited about the plot for this next one, Minions and Monsters, adding Cthulhu to it. I mean, how do you go wrong adding Cthulhu? But I guess they just didn't have their stuff together. Let's see. Obsession, like I said, it's leading for awards in Oscars, so it's probably going to get an Oscar. Indy Navarrete, not sure how to say her name, but the girl from Obsession, has talked with Marvel directors Jack Schreier, She's even talked with, I guess, the Heat director, Michael Mann. So she's planning to do more work in the next year or so. Obviously, she was an actress in Superman, Superman and Lois. So yeah, the TV show. I need to catch that show. I need to watch it, check her out. But what do you guys think of her being in X-Men? I think that would be pretty fun. Heat 2, like I said, yeah, they got Christian Bale will play Plank's character, the LA detective. And then Leonardo DiCaprio will play the career criminal. So that's cool. I mean, I feel like that's kind of the role he always plays, almost, in these roles. But, Brad Pitt, oh no, not Brad Pitt, sorry, Christian Bale and Leonardo DiCaprio. That's a pretty good cast. And then we've heard rumor of Adam Driver joining the cast and a few others. So it's not quite locked down just yet, but it's getting there. Probably hear an update about it in the next few days. Let's see. Oh yeah, so the last person that played the career criminal in the first Heat was Val Kilmer. So Leonardo DiCaprio is going after Val Kilmer's role, which is, pretty good actor, pretty good role. Then we got the director of Undertone is working on the next Paranormal Activity. I don't know if anybody's seen Undertone. I heard it was not that great. Kind of like a weaker sister to White Noise. White Noise was a banger back in the day. But I heard Undertone was kind of stupid. Then we've got Dr. Eric Davis talked about how the 4 species thing. Apparently, it's not classified. They're allowed to openly talk about 4 known species: the Greys, the Nordics, reptilians, and the insectoids. But everything else is very much classified under a you cannot talk about it order, essentially. And they need more of this stuff disclosed, they said. They need NDAs abolished. They need them expunged. And they need whistleblower protection, of course. Hoping to get an executive order for that, apparently. Not too sure. They're hoping for it. I'm not sure when they're going to get it. Let's see. The accounts range from highly credible, secret programs, witnesses, and sightings from the public. So there's multifaceted stuff going on. Dr. Eric Davis has been allowed to bring the following information to the light of day through his books and interviews. The Nordics were supposedly humans from the past that were given advanced technology, and now they're apparently time travelers. So that's very concerning. That they could be just one of many off-planet civilizations that just evolved up and out. Eric Davis also came forward with a statement saying he went to Skinwalker Ranch, did work with NIDS astrophysics. So he was the lead of the NIDS astrophysics department, and that was Bigelow Aerospace, private company that owned Skinwalker Ranch for a few years. Now we're hearing what they were doing out there, which is really great because it's been years of mystery. George Knapp and others have covered the story, but they haven't really gone that deep into what happened. So he was an aerospace physics director. The show Skinwalker Ranch, it's kind of drawn up for media attention. It's drawn up for spicy views and, oh my gosh, what's going on out here? When I feel like some of the scientists, especially like Travis Taylor, is appointed by the government, appointed by NASA to try to research this stuff. But I feel like the stuff they're doing isn't even real science. It's kind of like mock science. Louise Elizondo came out recently and talked about monoliths on the moon. Talked about it with Japanese reporters. So they are confirming there are strange objects on the moon. They've got right angle cuts, even hieroglyphics on them. So what do you guys think about that? Chimps, they said, are having a male dominance civil war. I guess there's different clans coming in at night and killing the males to try to get control over, the females, and tribes fighting for control. So that's very interesting with chimps going on right now. Vanguard, apparently it's a new organization they've made to come out for disclosure with Dylan Borland and others. Personally funded, so they're going to get kickbacks and back-end deals. Not a big fan of these personally like this Disclosure Foundation and other things that people are going to be on the board and people are going to make money off of because they're being donated to. So I don't know exactly how much information we're going to get out of these privately ran grassroots or these, publicly. They're not publicly funded because they're privately ran. But I'm not sure how much disclosure we're going to get out of those, especially because these people are government and coming out with a government disclosure program. I don't know if the government's going to be allowed of that. But that's all my notes for the week of June. So be sure to stay up to date. I'll be coming out with a few more videos soon. Oh, real quick, going into my physical media, I've got Night of the Seven Kingdoms Blu-ray. I have not cracked this open yet. It is one of the most sold Blu-ray 4K discs of the month of June. So guys, go out there and check it out. I can't wait to dive on in to Night of the Seven Kingdoms. I've also got to check out from my physical media collection. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones, of course, House of Dragon. I was recently on Facebook Marketplace, and I was able to find a very nice gentleman who was selling his whole collection. So I was able to get the Blu-ray of House of Dragon Season 1, which I already had, but it's nice to, pick stuff up in a collection sort. So I got Season 1 of House of the Dragon. Very nice. I was able to get on Amazon, this was like a week or two ago, it finally arrived, Batman Hush. So I'm looking forward to checking this out. This is from 2019. As far as I'm aware, this is kind of similar to the storyline they're doing for Batman Part 2. Not exactly sure if they're going to add Hush into it. They kind of had Hush Easter eggs in the first Batman. But continue your journey into the DC Universe. Trust, betrayal, and death, of course. But really looking forward to that. Batman Hush. And if there's any special features, commentary with the voice cast, I'll be sure to check it out. Going into Game of Thrones now, let's see Season 1, the Blu-rays. Tremendous. Big fan of the show, like I said. Probably one of the best Middle Ages shows, fantasy shows on TV to date. So show off real quick. Season 2. Got Season 3 right there. This is really when the show started picking up steam, in my opinion. Season 3. Then we've got Season 4. Very awesome. Still love the art style, cover arts. Now, there were regular Blu-rays of these, and then there were special editions. And the guy told me he collected a few special editions, but not a lot. So this was Season 5. And I'm not sure how well you guys can see the art with the light on, but it is fucking awesome. I'll show you the back real quick. The Iron Throne. Show you the cover. Awesome. And a lot of these shows back in the day, when they had these fold-outs, these fold-outs were sick as hell. Showed off all the cast and everybody involved. So that was Season 5. Here's Season 6. All their heads in tombs. I am no one. I'll show you real quick. nice. And then season 7, which is the best season, I'd say. I mean, it leads into one of the best climaxes in television history, probably. Winter is here. Season 8 wasn't that great, so I didn't get season 8. But you guys can see tremendous stuff. All in Blu-ray, so hopefully none of it scratches or skips. And yeah, I've been waiting to get Game of Thrones, the collection, for a long time. So I am happy to finally have that in the collection. Final 7th season. But that's all the news that's fit to print. Be sure to follow the page, subscribe for more content, and I'll be making some more videos soon. Bye-bye, y'all, and have a good one. Ciao.